2022 order. Stand for the pledge of the flag. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Duff.
Here.
Dumont.
Here.
Jeremy.
Here.
Malik. McNutt.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
And Nedrow.
Here, and Mr. Malik is out of
I'd
town.
like to make a motion we excuse him.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Additions to business, which we do have one item, and it's a resolution for the Oakland County Park Grant.
That's correct. Mr. President, it would be authorizing me to go ahead and file an application with Oakland County for a recreation park grant.
So that I guess we could put as 12 pre-A. That works.
12 3A.
Motion to approve with addition.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont, by chance. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no correspondence. I don't think we really have any other information at this point.
Approve.
So at this point, we'll move on to the first call of the public. If there's anybody in the public that would wish to address council on agenda items. Seeing none, we'll bypass the first call and move on to consent agenda.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Dumont.
Yes.
Jeremy.
Yes.
McNutt.
Yes.
O'Brien.
Yes.
Nedrow.
Yes.
Duff.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We have no board appointments, so I'll move on to presentations, which is, our first item is Commerce Township, which is our Glen Road entrance to the Hickory Glen Park. And I believe we have Emily.
Yep, I'm Emily England. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director over at Commerce Township. I have Jason Mayer from Giffords with us, our engineer, and then Robert Burkheiser and George Weber as well, their Township Board trustees. So I know you guys can't see it, but it was in your packet. I did put together a little slideshow. So it starts with Ariel of Hickory Glen Park, which is located right across the street. It was dated October 18th, 2021, so this is the current state of the park as it sits today. The total acreage of this park is 153 acres. It is the home of Lakes Area Athletics Baseball, home of Hawks Football, home of the Motor City Mountain Bike Association. The Parks and Recreation Committee did complete a master plan back in 2011. In that master plan, we focused on safety and keeping this park, a small town park feel. We didn't want to take away that feeling from this park. But addressed the safety and looked at the possibility at that time of adding a second entrance so that in inclement weather situations, people can get out of the park in a safe manner. So the next page is going to show you what that concept plan looked like. And on this concept plan, we dove in a little deeper. If you had all the money in the world, you would rearrange baseball diamonds, organize the park so that it was what you see as the perfect park. But we do things in phases over in Commerce Township, so that's what we're looking at today. So as said, the 2011 concept plan included a second entrance for safety, creating organized parking pods for safety. It did include rearranging the baseball diamonds. We're not looking at that today. And it included creating a disc golf course, which we are not looking at that today either. So how we got to today. We started back in May of 2020 with proposing revisiting the concept plan with the Parks Committee. The Parks Committee approved that. We then went to our Township Board. Township Board approved that. And we started with a small committee and our township engineers of walking the site, finding where we could put these parking pods and trying to locate a second entrance, which I think today we've come to an agreement of where that second entrance could be. So the last page is going to show you what the current concept is that our board did review last night and did give approval to move forward with the design and construction documents to get ready to go out to bid. Jason, can I ask any questions you have regarding the engineering? And I don't know if you guys have anything else you'd like to say regarding the concept plan?
Yeah, I might have something. On the, so a Hopefully you can hear me. I've still got a cough, so I'm masking up for you.
No problem.
A lot of people don't recognize that Hickory Glen is a Commerce Park versus a Wolverine Park, right? Because it's obviously just across the street. Part of what we're doing is we're going to have to remove some trees. And that's going to be obviously a sensitive subject, particularly once they start seeing earth-moving equipment to put the driveway in, trees start coming down. So we want to be real clear with what we're doing and why we're doing that. And to make sure that either you direct them to us or you have some answers at your fingertips. So of the trees we're taking out, and there's saplings, there's small trees, but we're taking out about 30 trees that are a 10-inch diameter or greater. Now, the majority of those, matter of fact, all of those but 5 have been looked at by our landscape architect, and they're either dead, they're not healthy, or they're an invasive species. So we didn't realize this, but the Oakland County arborist came and helped us understand trees that probably shouldn't be there. Now, when we do that, though, we will we're going to create a greater berm along Glengarry, particularly kind of between, starting at Laguna and going a little bit west of there. And we're going to put in, right now, 25 trees, but to be honest, when we get said and done, it'll probably be somewhere between 25 and 40 trees that we're going to replant in there. So we want you to be aware of that, and we want basically the village residents to understand kind of what's happening there. And some of that is not just for its aesthetics, but it's also, we want to make sure we keep shade in the park and do all the right things as it goes forward.
Okay, thank you.
So on the topic of the trees, I do want to point out, and we'd be more than happy to provide you guys with an FAQ sheet. You guys can post your website so that if you do get residents who call and ask questions, they can go there and get that, or obviously direct them to
That'd be
us.
helpful.
But what the arborist did tell us is the way people are using that park right now, they're actually killing the trees because they're driving on the root system, parking on the root system. So by creating these parking pods, we're giving them a place to park that's going to protect the trees that remain as well as protect the new trees that we plant. Did you guys have any questions?
No, I know that our engineer Powell's been working with you guys on this, and so is our police chief and DPW and administration. So, I mean, I've been here for almost 30 years, and my son played over there, so I'm
So you know.
very, very aware of the park. And in fact, he lives on Los Arbolos anyway, so, and it has been a traffic problem to get out. Either I try to get out of Laguna occasionally and come home from work at 5 o'clock on Friday nights when people are pulling in there, so it is, I mean, I understand what you're saying with the additional entrance. Maybe some people will be going, east from the second entrance, the new entrance, and west from the other one. But I know there's been a lot of upgrades in the park, and there's a lot of people that use it. So
Yes.
It's a great
very
park.
much so. Well, we just want to know we're here. If any questions come your way, obviously, and we'll provide you guys with all the tools as well. So.
I say it's absolutely needed. We've seen people just drive over the grass,
Yeah.
bypass the
Yeah.
entrance
Oh, yeah.
to get
They
there.
make their own entrance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All the time. So
Yeah.
it's not safe.
So as far as traffic goes, getting out of the village, the village hall, on the boat
I
ramp.
think they've addressed that with the D-cell, XL lane.
Right.
Which is probably going to end up helping us in the long run, just for traffic that's turning into the village when they are headed east or westbound. That might give them a chance to be able to go around rather than back up the traffic there. So, I think it's going to be overall a win-win. At first, I wasn't that excited about having it directly across from us, and we talked about moving it down a little bit, but the more I thought about it, the more we looked at it, I think we're going to be okay right where it's at. So.
Yeah. Anybody else on council have any questions, or?
Is the entrance going to be open just normally?
Permanent
Okay.
entrance, yes.
No, I think it's a wonderful park, like I said.
I am going to ask Emily, are they going to make the signage better over there?
Yes.
So, because that is a huge issue over there right now, is nobody knows where it's at. Sometimes they go by it, or they're right on top of the driveway, or they slam on their brakes
And see it,
go to
yeah.
turn it. So
That's-
if signage would be helpful.
Absolutely. That's actually a goal throughout all of our parks, is wayfinding signs within the parks and the park entrance signs with addresses on them, so.
Thank you.
Great. Anything?
I just wanted to thank the township for reaching out to us last year as early as you did. I know that Jason had been in touch with Mike, and I'm trying to remember if it was late summer or early fall, but we were over there walking the site together. So we appreciate you involving the village in the process and wanting to get input from us. And again, I think the end product we've come up with is really going to be good both for the township and for the village. So.
Yep. Thanks so much for coming and explaining to us.
Thank you for having us.
Sure.
Emily, I do have one question. I'm just curious, if you're thinking about putting a disc golf course over there, do you have any idea where you're going to put it? If you
It
put it
was
in?
laid out. I mean, we've looked at several locations. This was actually, back in 2011, we were working with Wolverine Village Parks at that point in time, and we wanted it to be, across the park.
Okay.
We haven't gotten that deep into that
Okay.
design, though.
Yeah, we were looking at it in Clara Miller here back around that time period.
Yeah.
So.
That's how that landed on our concept plans.
Okay, well, great. Well, thanks again. I don't think we really have to make any.
No, there's no action
No
that the
action.
council needs to take.
Yep.
We'll handle this by way of a right-of-way permit, and we'll take it from there. So,
Thank you.
Great, thanks very much.
thank you.
Okay, with that, we have service award for Tab. 10 years.
You could have Tabitha step to the podium, please. Oh, this is a time when you need to be on camera. So
Okay.
I think, I know everybody in the room knows Tabitha, but for anybody who's watching from home, this is Tabitha Lindsenmeyer, who's one of our crack administrative assistants upstairs. 10 years of service. And you try to think about what Tabitha does, it's almost easier to think about what Tabitha doesn't do upstairs than what she does. I mean, she answers the phones, she helps me with the agendas, she handles the website, she handles a lot of the questions related to building and zoning issues that come in, all kinds of things. I mean, Mike and I just kind of joke about it, is that in terms of the day-to-day operations of the village, he and I know absolutely nothing about what goes on, because Tabitha, along with Paige upstairs, they take care of all of them, and they do such a good job that we don't have to worry about those kind of things. So when we did Tabitha's annual performance review in the fall, I think one of the things I told her was that in my mind, she's the glue upstairs at the Village Hall. She's the one that kind of holds everything together and makes sure that everybody is on the same page. So 10 years, I hope you have another 10 years in you, at least as long as I'm here. I hope you're here, because I don't know what we would do without you. So congratulations, and that's for you, and the chief wants to take our picture.
Thanks.
So, thank you.
Thanks, Tabitha. Okay. Next thing is updates from our engineer, Mr. Powell.
I really don't have anything specific. I'm here to answer any questions that the council may have. In reviewing the plans for the entrance across the street, we were concerned about the geometrics, as the chief said. Drainage was certainly a big issue, and left-hand turns. And so I think Commerce Township did an excellent job in being concerned about the village's issues, and I'm looking forward to that assisting the village in Commerce Township. But otherwise, everything's going along just fine. We have big plans for a paving program this next year, and it's my recommendation that and we've done this in the past, since the budget ends the end of June, first part of July, we can combine two projects into one bid to be able to make it a larger project and get the best prices we possibly can and the biggest contractors to do it. So that's what we're planning on doing, to address 2 years of road paving, and we'll have that before you in the next couple months. I'm not convinced that we'll recommend the council proceed, because the cost of construction today is just beyond belief, as you guys know. So, but that's the biggest plan. We may need to be before you in the next couple months, because we're getting a good indication of people wanting to connect into the sanitary sewer. As you know, we had 44 people in the sanitary sewer SAD, and we only have about 35 grinder pump units, so as those things disappear, we'll probably be asking council to allow for us to purchase some more. But otherwise, everything's going fine, and I appreciate council very much, and I'm looking forward to another year serving the village. Does council have any questions?
I guess just a question on the park over there. I'm assuming you're going to have all that in place for spring baseball? I mean, as soon as probably put the infrastructure in?
Yeah, so typically,
No?
leagues give us their key dates, and then we work around. We'll be doing work during their season, but we will work around their season.
Okay.
So we don't hinder their season.
So it won't be done all first thing in the spring or anything?
No, it'll be probably a contract award in April, and then I don't think it'll be more than one construction. So,
Right.
by summer.
So probably end of Memorial Day or so? Might be close.
Probably our biggest concern from the village's standpoint will be not necessarily to pave the whole thing, but we're going to want to try to prevent gravel from being thrown out on Glengarry Road in that location. So we'll work with them carefully on that as well.
Okay, super.
All right, thank you, council.
It's usually a quiet time of the year for Mr. Powell, so.
Yes.
Okay, moving along, we have no public hearings. Moving on to new business item pre-A, which is Oakland County Park Grant Resolution, application resolution, I guess.
Council, I think you're all well aware now that in December we were awarded a $100,000 matching grant from the Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund for some improvements over at Clara Miller Park. You'll remember that one of the other issues that we have hanging out there relative to Clara Miller Park is to repave and restripe the parking lot over there, which really needs some attention. This is a program through Oakland County. It's supported by the millage that the voters had approved back in 2020. But trailheads and parking lots are one things that are considered to be eligible expenses for programs for this type of a grant. So I've been throwing the information together, and actually their program is really patterned very much after the trust fund grant program. In fact, their application in a lot of ways is similar too. So I think working with our consultants at Carlisle Wortman, we did a pretty good job putting the application together for the trust fund grant, which was successful. So I'm able to kind of cut and paste and piggyback a lot of the information that we gathered for that application, for the county application. Now it's a smaller pot of money, obviously, than the trust fund was, and I know that there are a number of other communities that are submitting applications for grants from the county for the park improvements. But it's worth a shot. I mean, I think we've got a good project. We've got funding from the state on. We're working with a group out of Ann Arbor to make the improvements that we put in over there as accessible as possible. So I'd like to think that this is something that the county is going to want to help support. And hopefully we can get some funding to possibly go ahead and pave the parking lot over there once we get all the other work done.
What's the scope on that parking lot? What's the price?
Yes, what we had from Mr. Powell last year was $138,000. So,
and we've got 100,000 matched against 100,000
through the trust fund.
Through the trust fund, right?
Yeah. And the county program is very similar in the sense that it's a matching grant program up to $100,000. I've proposed that the application will be for $75,000, but with the matching $75,000, that should cover the engineering costs above and beyond the $138,000. And again, like the state program, it is a reimbursement program, so we'll have to front the money. But talking with Mr. Kondak, we obviously have the funds on hand to front the costs. So.
Perfect.
That'd be great if it works.
Yeah, so we'll keep our fingers crossed. The application is due on Friday, that's why I needed to add the resolution to the agenda tonight, and then the funding decision is supposed to be made, I think, by sometime in the spring, so.
Make a motion that we approve the resolution after the grant.
Motion by Duff,
Second.
second by Mr. Giormini. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Discussion, what happened with the remaining 25,000?
Had,
So, you said...
Oh, we just wouldn't be applying for it.
Okay,
It's up to 100,000.
Yeah, you're allowed to apply for up to $100,000.
okay,
And then our application is 75, so.
okay.
So there's no
Are we
left
giving
over-
up
no left over.
$25,000 match, though?
I mean, we could apply for 100 and then propose a $50,000 match.
Yeah.
But I think that would decrease the number of points in the scale
As far as the application?
as far as the application.
Eligibility.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Okay.
Giormini,
Yes.
McNutt,
yes.
O'Brien,
Yes.
Nedrow,
Yes.
Duff,
Yes.
Dumont,
Yes.
Okay, at this point, second call to the public, which we're way early. Anybody in the audience like to address us on anything, I guess? Seeing none, we'll bypass the second call. And the only thing we have left really is the set topics for January 26th.
Motion to forgo.
Sounds good to me.
Second.
It's my wife's birthday. So, a discussion, so motion by Duff, second by Dumont, to forego. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries on that. Don't believe we have any pending business.
No.
Update from Chief Ellsworth.
And the only thing I got is I gave you your yearly update for your numbers and stats. There's really nothing more I can add.
That was a pretty comprehensive report.
I'll be at the Chiefs Conference, the night of the council meeting, so.
Somewhere warm.
No.
Grand Traverse. Grand
I'll be
Rapids.
snowed in. So,
Okay.
That's what usually happens.
Okay, Mr. Conduct.
All good here, Mr. President.
Okay, Mr. Gillum?
A couple comments. First, just for the benefit of the residents at home, we got some really very positive news last week regarding the funding that we're getting from the federal government under the American Rescue Plan Act. I had given you an update memo about that on Friday, but Department of Treasury has come out with final guidelines for the use of that money, and they have greatly reduced the restrictions on how we use that money. And in fact, the bottom line for the village is that the roughly $500,000 that we're going to be receiving from the federal government, we can use essentially for anything that we could otherwise use our general fund money on. There were a number of severe restrictions in place before, and those have all been relaxed. So it gives us a lot more flexibility in terms of what we can use that money for. And we can talk more about that at length. I'm assuming we're going to have our annual goal-setting session at our work session next month in February. So I'm going to ask you to kind of put your thinking hats on when we come in for that meeting that night. And I'm going to encourage you to think big, because this is a one-time bucket of money. This is $500,000, give or take. You take away the money that we've already committed in terms of premium pay to our labor groups. But other than that, roughly $500,000 that's ours to use for basically anything that we want to use it for. And this is a one-time.
Chief, do you want a Lamborghini?
So.
I've got my wish list already started.
Speed limit's 35 on Glengarry, yeah.
So I've already had conversation with the chief. I mentioned it to Andy Stone at the DPW. I want them to think big, and I will do some big thinking myself. And we'll all put our heads together and figure out what the best way is going to be to spend that money.
It sure won't be hard.
It was really welcome news from Treasury, because it was a big concern that we had. Mr. Kondak and I had several conversations. We were scratching our heads under the interim rule that had been proposed, trying to figure out ways that we could spend the money.
Make it fit, yeah.
Yeah, and satisfy their guidelines. Well, now the handcuffs are off, so that was very good.
Great.
Second comment is for any residents in the village who are customers of either Commerce Township or Walled Lake in terms of their water system. We are still under a boil water advisory. The Water Resource Commissioner's Office was doing some more work in reference to the water main break that they had earlier over on 14 Mile. There has been a drop in pressure, and at least as of late this afternoon, we were still under the advisory. So as soon as we get word that the advisory has been lifted, we'll get word out by email, by Facebook, and also on the Village Wedge webpage. So, and then my last comment is, as cold as it's been the last couple days, I know that people are starting to venture out onto the ice. It's only been a year. Remember, we had a real tragic loss last year about this time. And I know it's been cold, and in talking with Mr. Nedrow before the meeting, he said there were several inches of good ice. There's spots over by him.
Reports, areas. That's correct.
Areas, but remember that it's not uniform across the lake, so anytime you go out on the lake, please be careful. So, that's all I've got.
And don't go alone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Council comments. Let's start with Mr. Giormini, I guess.
Happy New Year. Everybody stay warm and stay safe, especially if you're outside on the ice or anywhere like that.
Mr. McNutt.
Thank you. Congratulations. And Happy New Year.
Mr. O'Brien.
Tabitha, thank you very much. I just hope everybody has a great month and take care.
Come on.
Sure. So, ice, yeah, it's thin, and it's ununiform, as you said, right?
No ways to see.
But when we start ice fishing, we knock out a piece of ice. Let's not put the ice up on top of the ice, because people ride things around like snowmobiles, and they hit those things. Shove it underneath the water. It's just as easy to push it down and underneath.
And that's our public service announcement for today's evening.
Oh, well, I don't want to see a kid get killed. I'm not worried about me. I have a very powerful snowmobile, and I go across the lake at 25 miles an hour, and I turn around back, and I go no more than 55 miles an hour. On that same path, though, but I've already checked it out.
Mm-hmm.
But there's 13, 12-year-old kids out there riding that they're not thinking, like, they're not fully developed in the brain. And so, literally, and so they're just all out. And if they hit one of those blocks, and it's happened, they will go over, and, I mean, bad things can happen.
Yeah.
Tabitha, thank you. Be safe on the ice. Always spud your way out, and don't go alone.
That way 2 people drown.
I know. Always have somebody in front and somebody in back with some type of line.
And with that, Tab, thanks for everything you've done for 10 years, and hopefully there's 10, 20, 30 more. With that, motion to...
Motion.
Motion by Duff, second by Dumont to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.